What's up everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for a review of album number 5, the long-awaited one, the first since 2010 by virtual band Gorillaz. They change up their style with every record, and this new one is titled Humanz. Now, I don't know a ton about Gorillaz. I know a lot. I would like to say I had an old roommate that was obsessed with them. He pushed their music on me, and while I didn't really love that much of it, there were always songs here and there that stuck. And over time, I've been persistent and adamant in the fact that I'm not really a fan of them, but I respect the hell out of what Damon Albarn and Jamie Hewlett do with these guys. Those, if you don't know, are the two founding members. One does pretty much all of the instrumental arrangements, and then Jamie does all of the animation. There's a lot of lore and a lot of storytelling that goes into Gorillaz, what makes them and what breaks them, where they live, their locations, from like their most recent album, really other than The Fall, Plastic Beach, and then moving on Do You Thing, the Converse shoe single that they released featuring Andre 3000, a very cool song, but like I said, they were kind of hit and miss for me. I like the fact that they have their own world and the fact that fans are so involved with it, and it's just something where you can clap from a distance and you say, go for it, I like this. But whenever I sit down to listen to a Gorillaz album, more often than not, I just find myself zoning out because it is hit or miss. One song will come up and I'll be like, yeah, I'm into this, I'm digging this. What a great groove, what a great idea. I love that they're infusing hip-hop, rock, electronica, and symphonic elements. And then the next song, maybe I'll just be a little bit more meh on it. So, did I have high expectations for liking Humanz? No, not at all. And what did I get with Humanz? This is my favorite Gorillaz album to date. Really the only one that I can just sit through in its entirety and I feel entertained. There's songs that I find myself not quite as drawn to, but overall, I am very pleasantly surprised. And I know a lot of you guys, if you know me, you've seen multiple videos of me saying, I'm not really into Gorillaz, can't get into them. This review is probably gonna shock you. I feel like the biggest complaint that fans are gonna have with this record is just the lack of overall genuine instrumentation. Most of these songs feel like they were crafted in a computer, whether it be GarageBand or Damon laying the groundwork on his iPad, like he made the entire album The Fall on. It was much more of an electronic, experimental record, and I think that kind of played into what was coming on this record. And I feel like some fans are gonna be let down by the fact that they're not hearing more of those Murdoch bass lines, or Noodle on the guitar, or even Russell on the drums. It feels like more of a drum machine here, and from what I understand, I think that that's technically Murdoch's role in the band, so I've looked into it more and more, and I'm having a hard time kind of putting a finger on exactly what happened with the instrumentation here, but they definitely mix things up. Damon is a very eclectic and hard to pin down individual whenever it comes down to his expressions, his art, and his upbringing. And here with the new Gorillaz record, I was surprised that it actually happened, but he lined up a ton of guest features for this record. A lot of rappers, dancehall, Jamaican R&B singers, that sort of thing. A lot of varied guests, and I like what they bring to the table here, but I will say this, before I get into praising this album for its strengths, I have to say that some of the detractors are the fact that Damon seems to be missing his personality as 2D for the most part on this record. There's a lot of songs that lack a 2D presence. I love hearing him coming in and singing the hooks on a lot of these things, but he doesn't guide or drive the majority of these songs, and that's what makes so many Gorillaz songs stick in my mind. It's the fact that he's leading them, but then they'll bring in somebody like De La Soul, or they'll bring in somebody like they did on Clint Eastwood. Some of their biggest hits have rappers featured on them, or else other singers, and I like that. But here, it feels like Damon making up a batch of singles, cooking it up in the lab and putting them out there. And these songs are all very connected at their core. He gave them a very clear and cut message whenever he set out to make this project Humanz. He said, envision Donald Trump winning the 2016 election, because this project Humanz, it started a while ago, and before most of these artists had even recorded their parts or their verses, whatever it may be, They didn't even know that Donald Trump had secured the Republican position or the nomination yet, and here we are, living in that nightmare right now. This album is not for the Trump fanboys, and neither is this review. Fuck Donald Trump, and I'm so glad that I see other artists getting behind this, voicing it, and even though it is bleeped out here on the album, especially whenever artists like Pusha T say either Obama or Trump, I think that it is bleeped out just to give a sense of transparency, to make this feel like more of a lucid dream, because this kit it's kind of an abstract concept for a record. It's something that they wanted to push, kind of a futuristic society filled with greed, lust, driven by money, aka Hallelujah Money, which was the first song released off of this, featuring the poet Benjamin Clementine, a song that I originally dismissed, but now hearing it in the context of this record, it makes a whole lot more sense. And I have to say, Damon, you were the mastermind behind all of this. I should have trusted you, and while I have respected your projects in the past, I think you really hit it on the nose in the most poignant and fragile state that we are in right now, and I think more music like this needs to be made. Even though there is a lack of guitars, whether it be the electric, acoustic, or bass guitar, it's made up for in its energy in other places, like Charger, for example, that does kind of use a stuttered guitar sample. A really weird song, almost like a drunken daydream that 2D is in, with Grace Jones on the track. It's fantastic. It is so weird, but it is out there and it works so well. Just the way that he almost seems kind of apathetic on the track as he says, Charger. It's something that's very downtrodden, and you can say that about a lot of this, but apathy, don't you think that's what you'd be feeling alongside anger if someone like Donald Trump won? Oh wait, he did. All of the collaborators here chose to go from a different perspective. What would they do if the world was falling apart? The apocalypse is impending. What are we gonna do now? Vince Staples, for one, chose to, if the sky is falling, drop that ass before it crash. And he chooses to party, give in to his lust and his greed, fulfill his desires on his last days on Earth if the apocalypse is indeed happening. And I like that song. Ascension is a really good one. It's got a smooth kind of a keyboard twinkle to it, and it's weird, the backing vocals on it, you see a choir pop up throughout this record, and obviously Damon is very akin to that. He's done a lot of projects and has shown a love for just a lot of different styles of music, so it's no surprise to me that that's coming here. I was kind of surprised that they dropped 4 singles all at once. That last song, Ascension, was one of them, and Saturn and Barz was the one that came along with the music video, and I was addicted to this song, especially after a couple of plays. I started thinking to myself, maybe I dismissed these singles too quickly. I wasn't really drawn to them per se right away, but Saturn Barz with Popcorn is something that I kept coming back to. I originally liked him on the Jamie XX track, I Know There's Gonna Be Good Times, alongside Young Thug, and that song has been in rotation for years now. It came out about 2 years ago at this point, and I still listen to it pretty frequently. I like his voice. He's from Jamaica, he's very successful over there, and he does a fantastic job getting more personal on this track, basically talking about these dreams and ambitions that he has over a very smooth, synthy and airy beat. It's something where 2D comes in, adds a lot of background to the track. Damon is fantastic as him on this, and then coming in with Popcorn as well, it's something where those two voices line up, especially whenever they kind of overlay with Popcorn in the background. I don't know, it's so smooth, it's just something that you can't help but vibe to. Continuing the outer space theme, we have another single, Andromeda, featuring Dram. He comes in with a nice guest feature. I like him on either the backing vocals or even the lead parts that he takes on this one. He seems very in control and focused, and I like some parts of his album Big Baby Dram that dropped last fall. A great song would be Wi-Fi. That's one that I kept coming back to, and even though I didn't care for Broccoli that much, I like his personality. He's different and he has a flavor about him. At least he's kind of fun. And here, he's just really singing, and he aids this song quite well. Andromeda is fascinating, considering once you look into the meaning of it, I would highly suggest watching or listening to the Song Exploder episode wherever Damon goes into detail dissecting this, because I was really trying hard. I was really trying to push myself to get into some Gorillaz, to get into their history, to dive into them, and this one did help. I like how he got inspiration for this song. It was the passing of a couple of loved ones, his mother's mom and a good friend really of Gorillaz, Bobby Womack, who had featured on a couple of their songs like Stylo and I believe another one on The Fall, and this song kind of reminded him of that, and he feels like he's kind of ascending. He's like looking at Earth, and another one that follows that up and continues that theme even more. I love it. No features, just Damon and some backing vocals, courtesy of Kelela. I hope I'm saying her name right. She comes through, aids him on this track, but for the most part, on Busted in Blue, it's just Damon Albarn really focusing and honing in, basically wondering and pondering life. Where did we come from? Where do we go now? And now that the world is falling apart, what's next? Technology and greed is taking us over. I don't know where I fit in this world. And it's such a somber tune. I could just picture sitting outside on like a summer night, rain coming down, listening to this song because it has such a good vibe to it. It makes me very sad, but at the same time, it gives you a little bit of a glimmer of hope, especially as this song progresses. Towards the end, you hear a little bit of more of a life in the instrumental on this track. That synth really chimes in, builds up a little bit more. It's a warm synth line, but at the same time, it's not too bold for you to get tired of the track, especially of its theme. It's something that needs to be a little bit more minimal, and Busted in Blue really works on every level. A fantastic track. I can't say that I'm super attached to the interludes being on this record, that they're vital to the life of it. I do enjoy them. They kind of poke fun occasionally, and Gorillaz have always had an element of satire to them, whether it be in their interactions within the band or the music videos or just the way that they acted in that interview that they released, which was their first ever live interview, which was really cool. I watched the whole thing and it was a lot of fun. Murdoch, the character, is crazy. But listening to this album, the interludes, I think they do have their purpose, but at the same time, I could cut them and I probably wouldn't notice all that much, although I feel like they do have a reason to be there. They separate some of these tunes that need at least a little bit of a buffer between them. There's a very dark vibe and a brooding feel coming through on Carnival and Sex Murder Party, a couple of really eclectic guests here that really mix things up, change up the vibe. Anthony Hamilton on Carnival. It's a little bit repetitive, but at the same time, I like that kind of dark wave that really crashes down on you. And with Sex Murder Party, it seems like it's almost blaming the parents for the reason that the kids have this mentality or the things that they do. You leave the kids at home, you let them watch or play with or do whatever they want to do, and you're out having fun, partying, drinking. And I like that this song kind of calls out that dark element in our society. I don't really care for Momentz featuring De La Soul. It feels a little bit out of place. I've enjoyed their collaborations in the past. Obviously, Feel Good Inc., a huge smash, one of my favorite songs of all time. But here on this collaboration, it almost feels a little bit silly, a little bit out there, especially at this point in the track listing. It's a little bit too drum heavy as well. It's really just driving it home, smacking those pounding drums, and it's just like, can we please relax for just a second? And also the track number 3, Strobelite, featuring Peven Everett. I hope I'm saying that name right as well, because there's a lot of names that I really can't pronounce on this album, Humanz. But he comes through with kind of a forgettable performance. It's kind of monotone, flatlining. The lyrics on it really aren't that interesting or grabbing to me, and it takes a little bit for this record to pick up and get a little bit more consistent. I think track number 7 is where this album, Humanz, really starts to find its stride. It features Kelela on the vocals, and she does a great job at the start of this track. It's not something that's super captivating to me, but it's a pleasant listen. But then Danny Brown comes in with this off-the-wall voice. I love his personality. I love his persona as a rapper, and he talks about some important issues here. Everything from his mental health to drug abuse and trying to get clean and his addictions, his vices, and just where he stands in this current world that he's been submitted to. And obviously this was something that was before the election whenever he wrote this, but I still kind of feel like it fits in that universe and it really gets things going. And then obviously after that we get some great tracks like Charger that I absolutely loved, Andromeda, Busted in Blue, Carnival, Sex Murder Party, and then of course Let Me Out, featuring Mavis Staples, the Mavis Staples, and of course one of my favorite rappers, Pusha T. They came through, did a fantastic job here. I think Pusha T really just set the roof on fire with his verses and his moments here on this one. The beat really goes hard. It's not something that I expected from Damon Albarn and his creation here, but I have to say it's a pleasant surprise that I'm perfectly okay with. I really hope you've stayed tuned until this point of the review because I have to talk about 2 of my absolute favorite songs. The first of those being She's My Caller. Holy shit, this song is a fucking banger. Damon, I didn't know you had it in you, bud. This is genius. This song works so well, and this is exactly whatever I was talking about earlier. He needs more chemistry between him and the musicality of these tracks. It needs more of the 2D personality, and this song is carried by 2D, and that really drives it home for me. He comes through, really is kind of rap singing on this track, and it's going over this absolute fire beat. Very synthy, kind of heavy at the same time, driven by a lot of keys in the background as well, adding some booming bass. It's just a very peppy 4-on-the-floor song that you can move, groove, and sing along to. It's everything that I could want from Gorillaz, and this is just... it's blowing my mind. Callie just does a great job coming in and crushing her feature here. I really feel like she did a great job of adding a smooth vibe to it, kind of a little bit more laid back, changing it up for 2D for just a minute. But this is what I want to see more of. I love the fact that she's the guest here, and you can tell that she's the guest, and that Damon is really owning it and carrying the tune. And that's what I would like to see more of from Gorillaz. Honestly, if he could do stuff like this, and then have a guest come in, do their verse, or sing the hook, whatever they need to do, just don't always let them, or at least primarily, I feel like with Humanz, be the only thing that we're getting to focus on. We Got the Power does a fantastic job of closing out Humanz. I feel like the humanity in this track and what they're singing about here, just a cut message of them basically giving positivity to the world, saying, we're all in this together, we're all a part of humanity, why not band together and be strong during the more difficult times? And I like the fact that we've got backing vocals from Dram, Ginny Beth of Savages, of course, from the UK, and of course, the Noel Gallagher. Although uncredited, he is still on this track, and I love that. I think it's fantastic. It's one of the more rocking tunes here, I guess, in the spirit and just its presence musically, and I do like that aspect of it. I think it was originally set to be more of like a guitar-based song, and originally, actually, it was supposed to have on Graham from Blur, a fellow bandmate, obviously, but that didn't pan out because it didn't really fit with the theme of Humanz, but I'm still pleased with what we got here. Anyways, guys, to sum everything up, I really do enjoy this record. This was my interpretation and review of it, all my opinion, of course, and this is my favorite project from Gorillaz yet. I'm psyched on that. It's weird. I kept telling myself this is very weird. People aren't gonna like this, but whatever. I'm not afraid to share my opinion with you guys. Hopefully you will be accepting. Let me know your thoughts on Humanz in the comment section down below. Let me know your favorite Gorillaz album, which one I should maybe give some more time to. Maybe it'll settle in with me. I do plan on doing a top 10 Gorillaz video very, very soon. Keep an eye out for that. Make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss out on that and future videos. For me personally, I'm gonna have to go with a 4 out of 5 for Humanz by Gorillaz. Don't forget to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel because friends don't let friends go unsubscribed. If you're able to, help me out on Patreon. It's that annotation over there in the corner. Click it, or else the top link in the description down below to take you over there. And if you would like to see another video I did where I talked about Gorillaz, click right over here. Or if you'd like to see a recent review, click right here. Social media can be found in the description, and I'll see you very soon right here on ARTV.